Mega CD
究極兵器メタルソニック、最速にして最強のライバル出現がソニックを熱く過激にする。過去へ未来へ、超音速アクションは時空をも超えた。
Sonic the Hedgehog CD from Mega CD.
So sorry about the Japanese commercial, but I could not find an American one for the life of me. So Sonic CD is an often overlooked and underrated classic Sonic game in my opinion. I played this game when I was a teenager, not when I was a kid. I had a Sega Genesis when I was a kid, however, I did not have a Sega CD. So I didn't even know that was a console, and I didn't know this game even existed. Now you're probably wondering, what the heck is a Sega CD? Well, I'll let this guy explain it for me.
Hey! You still don't have a Sega CD? Huh? What are you waiting for? Nintendo to make one? You have seen the games, right? Wrong answer, man. Show 'em! Want to see more?
I know it might be hard to believe, but he's actually trying to market a gaming console, not a weapon of mass destruction. Anyway, so it was basically an add-on for the Genesis, in which his main appeal was the fact that it could have better graphics, sprite scaling, and more storage space, as well as better audio quality, as it could use Redbook audio, meaning CD quality audio instead of the weird beep boop blap bloop, aka FM sound chip, that the Sega Genesis used. Sonic CD was basically the flagship title for this console. It actually has two different soundtracks. So, like I said, I'm not here to give you an in-depth history, but I'm going to go over it briefly. Basically, the Japanese soundtrack has this electric, funky style, and when they sent it over to America, Sega of America took one look at that and said, yeah, we hate it. So they redid almost the entire soundtrack, except for the past tracks, because they couldn't remove them because they were hard-coded into the CD. So it means these two soundtracks are almost completely different. We'll be comparing them throughout the video, and just spoiler alert, 90% of the time, the Japanese is better. So there are quite a few modern ways to play this game. There are the Sonic Origins collection, which I've referenced a lot when talking about Sonic, but it's easily the best way to play these classic games. There's also the mobile port, which is probably the most accessible version as it's free. So next thing we gotta talk about is the story. So, the story goes something like this. Little Planet appears over Neverlake for 1 month every year. Sonic wants to go check out Little Planet, so he runs over there and finds that Eggman has changed it to a mountain. Eggman wants to use the time stones on Little Planet to conquer time and space. Sonic doesn't like this, so he's gonna go stop him. Amy, thanks to her tarot cards, which are basically fortune cards, got a fortune reading that said she would meet her knight in shining armor on Little Planet. Sonic was not informed of this arrangement, by the way, so she goes to Little Planet and meets Sonic, and Sonic has zero interest in a relationship with her. She then gets kidnapped by Metal Sonic, in which Sonic has to save her. She's little more than a damsel in distress in this game. Don't worry, she gets better as the games go on. I should also mention that there are actually full-blown cutscenes and lyrical tracks in Sonic CD. I know, it's crazy for a game that came out in 1992. And the animations were done by Toei, the same people that did Dragon Ball Z, also did the opening and ending cutscenes for this game. So there's a different song for each opening and ending, so we'll get straight into the game and I'll compare the two right here, right now. Let's go.
You can go again! That's it! Zoom room, cosmic zoom, it's a damn sonic boom! Sonic warrior, sonic warrior!
You always need a day. You got the power to save the day.
Take a little chance, slip on through. You got no matter what you do. You gotta do for you. Sonic warrior, sonic warrior!
The power's in your mind to shake the planet, to conquer time. Sonic warrior, beat the space time. Took the sonic warrior, flavor in mind. Nothing can survive the way to stay alive. If you try, you can do anything. Took the sonic warrior, always takes a chance. Took the sonic warrior, never sleep again. Nothing can survive the way to stay alive. If you try, you can do anything. If you're strong, you can fly. You can reach the other side of the rainbow. It's alright, take a chance, 'cause there is no circumstance that you can't handle. When you use your mind, sonic boom, sonic boom, sonic boom, keep you running back. Sonic boom, sonic boom, sonic boom, save the planet from disaster. From the dark to the light, it's a supersonic flight. Gotta keep it going. Sonic boom, sonic boom, sonic boom, keep you running faster. Sonic boom, sonic boom, save the planet from disaster. Sonic boom, sonic boom, send through the world in motion. Sonic boom, sonic boom.
Now, America actually gets a point here, as Sonic Boom is way better than You Can Do Anything, in my opinion. Sorry, all you Can Do Anything fans, but this is 1 point for the American soundtrack. Now let's get to the very first zone, Palm Tree Panic. Okay, so with a name like that, you would expect it to be absolute pure chaos everywhere. But in actuality, this zone is just a chill introduction to Sonic CD's mechanics. Palm trees everywhere, yet no visible panic. Huh. Why didn't they just call it Palm Tree Walkthrough? Or how about Palm Tree Hill? That's a good zone name as well. At least it would make sense. So right off the bat, we have the Japanese versus American soundtrack debate. Again, Japan went full funky high energy beats, while America opted for a more tropical approach to emphasize the exploration. And hey, I get it, the game focuses on time travel and open-ended level design, so an atmospheric vibe made sense. But if you're like me, Japan wins this round. Now, this doesn't exactly look like your typical Sonic stage. Instead of a bunch of streamlined speedways, it's more like a giant maze. Big, open, and built for exploration. Sure, you can rush to the goal fast if you want to, but if you're hunting for the good ending, which I don't really see the point in, but it's just there for extra challenge, you have two real options. 1. Time travel. Hit a past or future sign. Maintain high speed until you warp and destroy the robot generators in the past. You do this by the past signpost, by the way. And then you can travel to the future to get a good future. If you go to the future without destroying the generators or without the time stones, you get the bad future. And then there's the special stage route, which is collect 50 rings, enter the special stage at the end of the zone, and go for the time stones. We'll get into the special stages themselves later. Personally, I tend to go for the special stages, though I have not landed a good ending yet. Palm Tree Panic is pretty easy overall, great for easing players into the mechanics, but I don't have anything to say beyond that. Next zone, please. Alright, so next up we have Collision Chaos, and let me tell you, the name was 100% accurate. Unlike Palm Tree Panic, which was supposed to be panic, yet it was nowhere to be found, Collision Chaos is like Spring Yard and Casino Night fused together in a mad science lab. Bounce pads everywhere. Pinball paddles scattered like confetti. Weird spinning contraptions designed solely to launch you into oblivion? You bet. It's absolute madness. So the name makes sense. Also, Amy does show up for 5 seconds, just long enough to get kidnapped by Metal Sonic. At this point, I have to wonder, was her tarot card reading rigged? She came here looking for knight in shining armor. Instead, she found a Metal Sonic's abduction speedrun. A truly tragic misinterpretation of fate. But don't worry, Sonic will save her later. Now back to the big Sonic CD soundtrack debate. This zone just furthers the tie between Japan and America. The American soundtrack goes for a mysterious, atmospheric vibe, which makes sense given the game's focus on exploration. The Japanese soundtrack, on the other hand, leans more into pulsing electronic beats. That's hard to describe, but undeniably unique. Neither version really screams, "This is my style," but they both work for what the zone is, and as a result, we're still tied. 1 point for both, America and Japan. Now is also a good time to further explain that each time era, past, present, and future, has a different set of tracks. So the past tracks remain the same in every version of the game, because they were hard-coded into the CD itself. Unlike the other tracks, they weren't CD quality, but they were generated using the Mega CD's RF5C164 sound chip. Yes, that is very hard to say. It had an 8-channel PCM-based chip instead of the Genesis FM synth. So Sega of America couldn't just swap them out. So they stayed unchanged across the regions. Now on both soundtracks, there are 2 sets of future tracks. One for the good futures and one for the bad futures. I personally prefer the bad future tracks since they lean into an aggressive techno-heavy punch, where the good future tracks feel more atmospheric. Yeah, I love the bad future tracks over the good future tracks any day of the week, over each soundtrack, every zone. No contest. And yeah, that's Collision Chaos in a nutshell. Pure chaos. It's nothing too crazy, and it's not a zone I have much more to say about. So next zone. Alright, next up is Tidal Tempest, also known as the obligatory underwater level. And surprisingly, it's not a bad one. If you've ever slogged through Labyrinth Zone in Sonic 1, don't panic, this is a way more tolerable version of that. Instead of a slow-motion drowning simulator, we get an underwater ruin with some cool currents and lots of open spaces. The level's pretty light on gimmicks too. No bubble shield, so you'll still have to surface or camp out for air bubbles, but overall, it's a smooth ride and a pretty decent level. And now this is another win for the Japanese soundtrack. While the Japanese version leans heavily into the atmospheric and ambient vibes, perfectly capturing this deep underwater ruin, the American version, well, it sounds like if Streets of Rage was on the Sega CD. No joke, take a listen. I can see why some people would prefer the American version, but I like Japanese better. Not much more to say. It's an easy zone, has cool aesthetics, and both soundtracks are decent, even if Japan pulls ahead just a little bit. Now, time for the next zone. Quartz Quadrant is our next zone, and this is a zone that actually embraces Sonic's speed, with long stretches of open road, obstacle-free conveyor belts, and switch-flipping mechanics to let you control the movement of the conveyor belts. It took them long enough. If Collision Chaos was Pinball Mayhem, and Tidal Tempest was Underwater Serenity, then Quartz Quadrant is pure coffee, energy drink-fueled momentum, which is a nice change of pace. So this is no contest when it comes to the soundtracks. America wins easily. The American version sounds like it was composed by Jun Senoue, even though it wasn't. And it was ripped straight out of Sonic Adventure is also what it sounds like. And that's a huge compliment on both accounts. Jun Senoue is one of my favorite video game composers, and I love the Sonic Adventure games. Meanwhile, the Japanese version, well, it's hard to pinpoint exactly what it's going for. It's an odd experimental quality that doesn't hit that well. Also, remember those caterpillar enemies from Marble Zone in Sonic 1? They're back! But they're as easy to take down as ever, so I wouldn't worry about them. As for the zone's aesthetic, it really feels like Robotnik, aka Dr. Eggman, is mining the place for the quartz. Which raises a really important question. What does he even need the quartz for? Maybe, I guess he's trying to make a countertop business? After all, evil empires don't fund themselves. I don't know, that's just a fan theory. But hey, it makes for a solid zone. I have no idea what anyone on the design team was thinking when they made this zone. Introducing Wacky Workbench, easily the most platform-heavy Sonic level in 2D history, possibly all of Sonic history. You just touched the floor. Congratulations, you're flying to the ceiling. No momentum, no control, no mercy. Collision Chaos was bad enough, but this is a whole new level of suffering. And if that wasn't enough, there are electric traps near the ceiling, which just add insult to the injury. And now we get to the question of who in the heck built this place? See, this zone exists in the past, which raises a very disturbing question. What part of evolution or natural selection created this disaster? Because Robotnik sure as hell didn't build it, he just showed up later, which means that Little Planet itself spawned this monstrosity somehow. I mean, I'm sure all the creationists out there could make an argument to, oh, look, that means something was created. Come on, we all know that's exactly what they would do if this place actually existed. All it would show, though, is whoever created this place was either incompetent or lost their freaking mind. Now for the soundtrack face-off again. Japan wins easily. The Japanese version has a cool pulsing techno pop that fits the mechanical chaos of this place perfectly. Meanwhile, the American soundtrack, I have not the slightest clue what's going on here. It's just weird. Now, can we talk about a zone that's actually awesome? Now, a lot of people might have expected an Ancient Ruin to be my favorite, but nope, Stardust Speedway is just too good. Just look at this place. Stardust cities in the background, flashing lights everywhere. This stage just resonates pure energy. Now, who on Little Planet uses Stardust Speedway? Who knows? But honestly, who cares? It's awesome. What makes it even wilder is how time travel affects it. You see, the past feels more like a post-apocalyptic future of this place. Like you went so far into the future that everything's overgrown. Bad Future feels like a dystopian hellscape. Both are awesome. By the way, Japanese soundtrack wins when it comes to this place, hands down. The American version's okay, but Japan, they just got it. They got the beat. So I know I mentioned this once already, but every Bad Future track, whether it be in the American or Japanese soundtrack, is awesome. And they are some of the best tracks in the game. But special shout out goes to Stardust Speedway's Bad Future tracks, because they also serve as the boss theme for Metal Sonic, who happens to be the only competent boss in this entire game. More on that later. So here's how this fight works. The only time the normal boss theme plays is when Robotnik is firing up his laser, about ready to start the race. Yes, it is a race, not a typical boss fight. You can't actually hurt Metal Sonic. You have to race him on Stardust Speedway to the end of the track and rescue Amy. All the while, Dr. Robotnik has a giant laser. It's gonna obliterate you if you fall too far behind. It's an amazing boss fight, and both tracks fit it so well. Here, take a listen. Alright, so now after that, you free Amy, then it's on to the final zone, which is an interesting one. Now this place is pure madness, and I wouldn't have it any other way. Metallic Madness is the final zone in the game. And it has pipes that launch you everywhere, weird puzzles, weird platforms, and a section where Sonic gets shrunk down like some kind of toy figurine. All that's here. Everything about this zone screams controlled chaos, making it a great final challenge before wrapping the game up. Now when it comes to Metallic Madness, Japan absolutely takes the win in the soundtrack department. The American soundtrack goes with this dark, overly serious tone, which is fine, but it lacks the same energy. Meanwhile, Japan's version is straight up amazing, even throwing in lyrics, though they're so fast you can barely hear them without a lyric video. Other tracks in the game, for the record, did have vocal samples, like Stardust Speedway's famous "Funky, Get Funky, Hustle, Hustle." But Metallic Madness just takes it a step further with actual lyrics in the song. And they actually fit. Take a listen. Yeah, I feel like I should apologize for the weird way of me showing the lyrics. I just didn't know what other way to do it, because I'm still not great at video editing. So, apologies for the weird way, but that's not the last time I'm gonna be doing it that way. As you see, the Bad Future version of Metallic Madness is actually my favorite track in the entire game, next to Sonic Boom. So, here you go. Metallic Madness, Bad Future. I mostly just want to show off how awesome this song is. I mean, it contrasts You Can Do Anything perfectly, and even though I like Sonic Boom better than I like You Can Do Anything, I still think it's just totally awesome that they, for the final level theme, made it to where Dr. Robotnik was basically saying the exact same thing, exact opposite of what Sonic was. Just listen.
Get some
Now that we've covered all of the levels, before we talk about the final boss, I feel like I need to set expectations accordingly. Because, Robotnik, just look at these bosses, and please, for the love of all things logical, explain to me, what in the heck were you thinking? Now let's talk about the boss music, because this game couldn't make up its mind on that either. So the American soundtrack actually fits the mood pretty decently. I don't really like it, it's far too dark and ominous for me. But then we get to the Japanese version, which has lyrics, and can someone explain to me how in the ever-loving heck these lyrics translate to boss fight?
Earth-trimming, fit, bold, brainy, cold heart, distant, little, wow. How are you succeeding? He doesn't stand a chance.
Now, for the record, I prefer the Japanese version because of how ridiculous it is. Now we can talk about the final boss and ending. Now, after everything we've been through, the chaotic zones, the awesome Metal Sonic race, and the wacky time travel mechanics, you'd expect an epic final showdown, right? Well, you saw the rest of Robotnik's contraptions, didn't you? Instead, we get a contraption that looks like someone just turned a fan on its side. And to make matters worse, it's incredibly easy. I beat this boss on my first try ever, and that's not a good sign for a final boss. The Japanese version actually gets unique music for the fight, which is what you're hearing right now. The American version, though, just recycles the standard boss theme. So after you destroy Robotnik's contraption, Amy shows up out of nowhere. I don't know where she's been since Stardust Speedway, but now we gotta get her out of here. And thus, shows the endings. Now, as much as I wish I had a Japanese footage of a non-compressed ending, I don't. So I'm gonna have to show you the original Sega CD version. However, I do have an upscaled version for the American ending. So, other than the compression in mind, you should be able to compare these pretty easily. And what ending song is better? Are we on the same page? Good. Roll endings.
you can't handle. When you use your mind, Mr. Bad got it good, but this ain't his neighborhood. He's taking over. No, no. Time is now. He can hide, find the power deep inside and make it happen. Sonic Boom, Sonic Boom. Love keeps you running faster. Save the planet from disaster. Spinning through a world in motion. Sonic Boom, take it all the way. Make your move, break it out. That's what life is all about. It's your adventure. To the dark, to the light. It's a supersonic fight. Gotta keep it going. Sonic Boom, Sonic Boom. Rubble keeps you running faster. Sonic Boom. Save the planet from disaster. Sonic Boom. Spinning through the world in motion. Sonic Boom. Take it all the way. Sonic Boom, Sonic Boom. Sonic Boom, Sonic Boom. Sonic Boom, Sonic Boom.
So, am I forgetting anything? Oh yeah, the special stages. So, these are awesome. So, to get the good ending, you can do one of two things. One, destroy all the robot generators in the game. This is extremely difficult. Or two, collect 50 rings and jump into the big ring at the end of a level and do a special stage. Complete the special stage, you get a time stone. Get all 7 time stones? Congratulations, you are guaranteed a good ending. Now, these special stages use the Sega CD's unique sprite scaling to great effect. It's like you're in a full 3D environment, kind of like how Mario Kart on Super Nintendo did. And the goal is simple: destroy all of the UFOs before time runs out. While some people don't like these, I personally think they're awesome. The backgrounds are awesome, and once you understand how to move around effectively, they're actually pretty easy. The real difficulty is just getting to them in the first place. And honestly, while I occasionally destroy the robot generator here and there, off the off-ball, I tend to play special stages every chance I get, just because they're awesome. So that's everything I have to say about Sonic CD. Well, except for one thing: why I like Cosmic Eternity. See, I heard this song long before I heard Sonic CD was even a game, because there was a playlist on YouTube, which I downloaded, that was 9 hours long and had every single Sonic song ever. On that playlist was Cosmic Eternity. And that's a song that just... it's a song I listen to on any motivation, okay? Because it's just very uplifting in its lyrics. Always believe in yourself, and never give up, basically. So, yeah. that's everything I have to say about Sonic CD. It's a game you should absolutely play at least once. It is not overrated. It is an amazing game, like all the classic Sonic games. This is the Anti-Gamer Slayer of Centurion Dragon Studios, signing out, and thank you for watching all the way to the end.